We have discussed about sports cars, supercars, hypercars time after time on this podcast, but very few times have we talked about motorsports and photography and spotting these cars. He is someone who certainly knows a thing or two about motorsports and photography of these cars. We have tried to break down his journey with cars, with motorsports and photography on this episode of Shift with Motor Drift. So, welcome, Vignesh Bhai. Glad to have you on the podcast.
Glad to be here. Glad to be here, brother.
So, the first question that I ask all of my guests is that tell your journey of becoming a car guy. Describe your journey.
My journey of becoming a car guy, we have similar stories, I would say. So, when I was a kid, I used to go out with my dadi and everyone. And I was so fascinated by things moving on four wheels that, I would just sit and watch these things go. Then later, as I grew up, I started learning about them. My fascination grew into a passion, and I went ahead with it. I pursued education in this field, and now I'm so happy that I'm in this field and I'm doing what I like. That's the thing. It's pretty basic for me.
So, what was that car that sparked the interest within you? The car that started the whole journey of you becoming a car guy. What was that particular car? Tell us about something about that car that sparked the interest within you. The car that started your whole journey.
The cars I've been seeing since I grew up are not that special, but I have an uncle who had a W124, so I grew up riding around in that W124, and that TriStar on the hood just did the thing for me, and
Hmm.
I got hooked to it. And then I followed the journey. Then I went into knowing about supercars and sports cars, and I was hell bent on knowing more about them. And that's how I ended up shooting them, or talking about them, or writing about them.
Great to hear that. How has your experience been with performance cars? Have you ever sat in one?
Yes, I have been around recently. I didn't ride in it,
Hmm.
but it was a static display. So I've been around in some 991, 911, sorry,
Hmm.
992, 911 in a Vantage. But I'm yet to ride a shotgun in one. So I've been in many, but I haven't gotten the chance to have a shotgun ride.
No worries. I'm sure you will get some rides in the future.
Hopefully soon. Yeah.
Now, give the audience an insight of the car culture at the place you live in. Are there any car groups or something of that sort?
The place where I live in is Ahmedabad, Gujarat,
Hmm.
and we have car communities in Gujarat. We have our Team BHP group, and I'm
Hmm.
part of that. But in an owner's perspective, yes, there are some groups where owners are connected to each other and things like that. But we don't have that fancy garage thing going on in Gujarat right now. We don't have, a specific tasteful garage in Gujarat. So, except for the one of Gondol's Maharaja, but
Hmm.
that's a place far away from where I am right now. So that's how the thing is here.
Hmm. Now, what's your experience has been as a photographer? When capturing these machines in a frame, how has your experience been in that?
Generally, when I go out with some brands, people are very, very polite, and the vehicle has some significant details that I like to. So, generally, when I go out to shoot something, the thing I go in with is a camera. I hold the camera in my hand, and basically, I just want to show people that, these machines are made with so much details. And generally, when you see them fly by, you don't necessarily notice the things that have been put into it, the small amount of these small bits that they've engineered for the vehicle. You see, you have shift paddles that have been made of aluminum. Then you have some details all around the interior, the
Hmm.
exterior, the brake calipers, everything. There are very minute details all around the vehicle, as you would know. And I like to capture those. That's the thing
Great.
I go in with.
So when did this interest of yours, like of started capturing performance cars, like the pictures of performance cars started developing? When was that time? What was that time?
So I guess I briefly remember this. 5 to 6 years ago, there was this show in Ahmedabad. Back then, I didn't have a camera or anything like that. I still don't own a camera for myself,
Hmm.
but we had a new device in our family which had that camera, and we went into the show, and through my contacts and everything, I was allowed to go closer to the vehicle, and that is when I started noticing there's so much more to the story than we've been seeing when this vehicle fly past us. So that is when I guess the spark ignited, and I've been moving forward since then.
Hmm. Oh, well, how happy are you with Tesla coming to India with the Model 3?
I actually, in reality, I am very happy that Tesla is coming because
Hmm.
it's one of those brands. I know it's going to be a completely built unit as coming into our country. It's going to be priced higher than what people would expect it to be. But them entering into our market is certainly going to make some people do something against them in competition, and which is what we need in our market right now. We don't have a specific player who would go out and do things in that specific segment for EVs. So I'm very happy that they are coming in.
Hmm. I ultimately want Tesla to, like set up a manufacturing plant in India so that the prices get lower and, like other manufacturers like Ford and all, they get some competition.
True, true. uh, I guess Tesla is looking around for places in Sanand, Gujarat, nearby to me. So
Hmm.
I'm personally very happy if they're entering into our country and setting up their shop close to
Hmm.
me.
Hmm. They will first launch, like the first completely built units, and then if the sales are good, then they will think of setting up a manufacturing plant.
Yeah.
So it all depends upon the sales
Yes.
numbers. Let's see what happens, man.
we have a fair share of
Hmm.
we have a fair share of buyers who would go out and consider Tesla as the status symbol in EV
Hmm.
segment, and we would get some sales. I'm sure that Tesla would bag in some sales.
Mm. With Tesla not being present in India officially, like we still have a few Teslas, a few Model X's, a few Model S, and they are
Yes,
coming up with a
yes,
Model 3. So if people can buy the expensive models, the X and the S, I'm certain that they will buy the Model 3 as well, which is like half the price of what the Model X and the X cost.
exactly. And in India, mostly we see manufacturers selling upon the brand name.
Hmm.
And Tesla is a very big brand name, and it's been famous, going all around, making some news right now. So they are surely coming in hot, and I expect a lot after them.
Now, what are your general opinions on EVs as a petrol head? Are you happy with EVs or do you prefer IC cars more?
I the moment I had not experienced any EVs,
Hmm.
I was a bit like we shouldn't move past IC engines. But right now, if you think about it, the level of performance that they are bringing in at the prices, I think IC engines will never be able to match up to those, because not for us, for us petrol heads, we think about the engines, V8s, V10s. Yeah,
That sound.
those are the things that can, yeah, that sound, the power delivery, the shifts and everything. We think about that, but for general public, those 1.1 liter turbos and 1.2 naturally aspirated engines, those are not the things
Hmm.
they would be happy driving around in.
Hmm.
And in an EV, the power delivery is so linear and instantaneous torque. People would be happy having sitting in the driving seat of an EV. That is what I think. So it's a right shift for a normal buyer.
What I think that EVs make more sense in the affordable car market. Like the affordable segments, like
Exactly, my friend.
the segment in which cars like the Swift and the Alto sell, cause like that is the middle class segment of India, and their chief priority is not performance. They are not looking for that exhaust, not a performance. What they are looking for is comfort and
Exactly.
reliability. And you know that even the slowest of electric cars are much faster than like their comparative IC cars in terms of acceleration.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
they will get some fast cars as well, which we as
They'll get
Indians
the
desire
thrill
the
of
most.
fast cars. Yeah, they'll get the thrill of the fast cars, and whilst not losing out on kitna deti hai wala mindset.
Yeah. The kitna deti hai wala mindset should change.
Yeah, yeah.
Mileage
I'm
isn't
totally
everything.
against that mindset.
Safety should be given a higher consideration according to me.
Exactly.
That's what I think. But like what the segments which I don't want EVs to come in are the sports car, the supercar, and the hypercar segment. Like
I think for that segment, I would still prefer hybrids and not completely EVs.
mm,
I need an option to go on and drive on a completely naturally aspirated engine.
mm,
We should not miss out on those engines.
mm.
Yeah.
Like what I think is that hybrids are not being given enough consideration
I think people are making the jump from ICs to EVs
directly.
directly, and they should have bridged the gap with hybrids, and they should have brought in more hybrids at a cheaper price. That
Mm,
is how transition should have been there. Right now, what is happening is we have EVs coming in hot.
mm,
Brands are ready to launch EVs, but we don't have enough infrastructure, and people are, falling short of that and not buying EVs.
mm.
So I
That's the
think
thing.
hybrids would have been a better option for our country to bridge the gap to EVs.
Because it will take time for like people to adopt to these type of cars. We are not accustomed to
Exactly,
like driving EVs on a daily basis.
exactly.
Moreover, like if we see the facilities these companies are going to provide, like they are saying that they are going to give wall sockets, and in India, the parking conditions, we don't have a own garage of our own. If we park the car outside and there is a wall socket, who knows, someone might like just steal that wall socket away and run with it. Who knows? We don't have the safety, we don't have the
Yeah, you never
infrastructure.
know. Yeah, you never know what is going to happen in India.
Yeah, we
But
still
it's
haven't
good that
matured as a
I,
consumers. We still have a longer to go.
exactly. The moment our buyers get more smart, they should know what they want rather than going to a brand blindly.
Hmm.
That is what I say. Do not get attached to a brand blindly. Think about everything before getting into a vehicle, because that's a big investment for people like us,
Hmm.
people in middle class family. We are not the one throwing cash around and getting vehicles that we are eventually gonna sell off and replace in few
Yeah,
months or few years.
we buy one car, and like that one car just goes on with the whole family. So like that one car
Exactly,
has to be good.
exactly. Matlab, buying a new vehicle, you should give some thought to it rather than going into a showroom and saying like, "Acha, which one is good?" You shouldn't just go into the showroom like that.
Hmm.
Do your
Or
research,
like,
ask around.
yeah, or just focus on like which one gives more mileage, or like which one has more features, not just these features.
Exactly. People are not judging cars by the right set of features. I
Hmm.
think,
Hmm.
because I've seen people go into the showroom and say which one has sunroof. I'm like,
Hmm.
dude, is that the first thing that matters to you? Because they don't look at some of the aspects that they should have thought of,
Hmm.
and that is how they end up getting a vehicle which has a sunroof but no safety, or one thing and another. I
Sunroof,
think we
has
need
that
a
that show off element. So they want to show off to their
exactly.
friends as well. Bragging
Yeah.
rights.
uh, I don't
Rather,
know. It just doesn't make sense for me.
rather they should be, like focusing on like the NCAP rating of the car. That if that car has more than 3 stars or not. If the car would be safe for my family. How
Exactly.
much airbags does it have? and all of those things. Safety first. Dude, what are you going to do with
Safety
the
first.
features if you're going to die the next moment you drive?
Exactly. Yes.
That was my question to many of the people, and they were like, "Bro, Maruti is the best. Maruti is the best. Yeah, like the best
I
car
didn't want to
Indians can have."
name them, but yeah, I didn't want to name Maruti, but they really need to step up the game. Being a very big player in our country, I believe that they are one of the trendsetters in our country, and they have a fair share of market, and whatever they do is gonna reflect upon Indian automotive industry. So rather than fooling around, start giving people the products that have brought you here, rather than giving them shit products which they are going to buy eventually without, because they don't have complete knowledge of what goes around in engineering them.
Hmm.
They should do a better job as a brand. That is what I feel. Stay true to themselves rather than fooling others and selling their products.
Hmm. But ultimately, it all starts with the consumer. Like if Maruti is
Exactly.
selling those cars, Maruti is able to sell unsafe cars because customers are okay with unsafe cars. If
That is what I
customers
said.
at the first place, like if they said that I'm not going to buy a car with these number of stars and all with zero
They
stars, Marutis won't be able to build such cars. They will build more safer cars.
they they need to push the brand to do better. They need to push the brand to do better right now.
So,
That's the case.
like in terms of business, Maruti is doing great. And, like, as companies are here for business, not for charity. So, like when coming to business, they are doing great. But if we talk about safety and all, no, they are not.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm. Now, let's focus on F1 because that happens to be one of your favorite topics, I guess.
Yes, yes, of
Yeah.
course.
So Sebastian Vettel will now be racing for Aston Martin, and Carlos Sainz will now be racing for Ferrari. So, what do you think? Is this going to be the start of a new era because of these driver exchanges?
With the driver exchanges coming in, I'm really, really excited to see Sebastian be in driving a Mercedes engine, because this time he is going to be at this in the seat at Aston Martin, and Aston Martin has a lot of potential. As a brand, they have money because Lawrence is at the topper, and with Carlos going to Ferrari, I feel that was a right move. Though many would not agree with me, but Carlos has that technical knowledge. He did that for McLaren, and I think moving ahead he can do the same for Ferrari and develop a good enough car if he is allowed and not considered as a beta driver.
Hmm. Now, what are your opinions on like manual transmissions fading away? Less than 2% of the car sales in US are manual, and rest 98% are automatic. So, is the manual transmission on the verge of extinction?
The reason why they have low number of sales is because they don't learn manual. They just skip the process. They just directly go to automatic transmissions and be like, yeah, dude, I know how to drive. And they just only skip upon the part where they have to learn manual.
Hmm.
So that is what's happening in those market. But for our market, I feel people are expecting more comfort out of their cars, and that is the reason we saw IMT coming in to the Koreans. And I feel it's the right move for the people driving around in the cities,
Hmm.
and not looking for that surge of power while going out of a traffic signal or moving around. These transmissions are not as never going to be as peppy as manuals
Hmm.
if they're not DCTs. But for for a decent power delivery, for efficiency in city, I think they do a great job. They cater to people they need. Yeah.
Hmm. When looking at the Indian market, I think that manual transmissions, like are still doing well, but automatic transmission are on the rise, and people prefer them because of that ease of driving.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
j-
True.
like put the car in drive mode, and go on and on. You don't need to shift. You don't need to worry about upshifting and downshifting.
Downshifting, yes. But I like the choice of being able to upshift and downshift or force the transmission to go into upshift or downshift into automatic.
Mm.
That's a sweet spot wherein you can enjoy the automatic transmission and force the transmission to upshift and downshift whenever you feel like it.
Mm. But still, I would always go with a manual as long as I have the option of going with one.
Yeah, I
Manuals are
feel
just another thing.
manuals are great, but you need a vehicle that can match up to those.
Hmm.
Not every time you would prefer a manual transmission. With some of the vehicles, I'll blindly go with a automatic transmission.
Hmm.
And I really appreciate some of those automatic transmissions. Like we saw Porsche's PDK, that's
Hmm.
a really well built automatic transmission.
Hmm. Even the ZF 8-speed auto transmission.
Yeah, though we have some people telling that ZF transmissions are a bit slower in shifting up and down
Hmm.
between the top end,
Hmm.
but overall they do their job quite well for the vehicle segments they're in.
Yeah, because every car can't have a manual. Like there are some cars like the Ferrari F12 and the TDF. They have, like so much power coming in from the engine that a manual transmission won't be able to handle them. So
Oh,
those cars need an
exactly.
automatic transmission.
Need
So,
an automatic, and they do a quite well job with DCT.
hmm.
With a Mustang or GT 500, yes, you expect a manual because you want to play around with that vehicle.
Hmm.
With an 812, the class they are built in and the people driving around in those vehicles, they don't need to play around in the way that people play around with a manual.
Yeah. Cars
They're
like
just
the
gonna go
812
straight speed
are grand
powerhouses.
tourers. Cars like the 812 are grand
Exactly,
tourers, and the main focus in those type of cars is luxury and comfort and maybe a bit of sportiness. That's all.
exactly.
So in cars like the 8112, nothing beats an automatic transmission. But if you are just about like going around tracks in a sports car, in a lightweight sports car like the BMW M2 competition, nothing beats a manual.
718 GT4, man. 718 GT4
718
is the
GT4.
perfect blend of a manual power. It's I feel it's the more usable power, most usable power in a supercar right
Hmm.
now, sports car for that
Hmm.
matter.
Even the 911 GT3, flat six, naturally
911
aspirated engine.
GT3.
It's my favorite supercar. Like 911 GT3, flat six, naturally aspirated, sounds great, is lightweight, 9K red line, 6-speed manual transmission, and it just keeps going on and on and on. The sound
and
is the best
and
part,
it
man.
can do a lot of stuff. That vehicle can take most of your boxes.
Hmm.
Being a 911, it can do daily driving, a bit of daily driving if
Hmm.
you live in a place where you can daily drive this.
Hmm.
And it has a decent amount of character on road. It has a great amount of character on road,
Hmm.
and the presence, the attention it gets.
Hmm.
You feel comfort when you're driving around. The manual is not that heavy
Hmm.
in GT3. You can go to track days.
Hmm.
That's really a vehicle that that can tick many boxes
Hmm.
for
And
you.
moreover, it's a car, like that knows how to use that power efficiently. It has about like 493
Exactly.
horsepower. The last generation had 493 horsepower, and it what was the top speed? About 202 or 203 miles per hour. A car with 493 horsepower doing that kind of speed. And even the 2022, like the Cadillac CT5, it can't even like go above 200 miles per hour, and it has about 668 horsepower. So using the power
Exactly.
efficiently, like more power isn't always the answer. That's the lesson I got to learn from Porsche. They make cars
Porsche has
with
done
less
it
powers.
before, and
Yeah,
exactly,
they
they have done it before, and they engineer it so well.
mm, it's
That is what I
basically
like about the
like the
brand.
McLaren F1. The McLaren F1 with 618 horsepower went on to do a top speed of 391 kilometers per hour. That's how you use power efficiently.
Exactly. We don't see much manufacturers going around doing that kind of stuff. That
Hmm.
is why I really appreciate Porsche because they go around push those brands, some of the brands in the same group that they are,
Hmm.
and making them. It's more of a wake up call for other brands
Hmm.
sometimes when they
Hmm.
come out with a new product.
And I appreciate Porsche for like keeping the manual alive for such a long time. They make some of the
And
best driver
they
cars.
do it in a great way.
Hmm.
uh, when the 992 came in, manual came in later after automatic, but they
Hmm.
didn't charge any extra bit for transitioning from an automatic to manual or anything like that. You
Hmm.
could just go in, get spec it with either manual or either automatic, and that was a great move by the brand,
Hmm. The
giving
current head,
people freedom as to what they want.
yeah, the current head of the 911 GT3 project has said that till the date I am the head of the 911 GT3 division, the manual won't ever go. And he has been making cars from like 2001. Like it's almost been 20 years of him working on the 911 GT3.
Yes, yes, I know about him.
Yeah. So for keeping the manuals alive, Porsche has gained a huge respect from my side.
True.
Uh, l- Lastly, a news came in that Porsche and Audi will be going back to Le Mans. So, are you excited for this? And what do you think? Who will win in Le Mans future race, considering the past of Le Mans racing of both the manufacturers?
I think both of them stepping into motorsports when some of the brands want to pull out due to environment and everything is a
Mm,
bold move. First of
mm,
all, it's a very bold move for them to step back into motor racing, but it will take time for them to come in and set up their shop. But once they are going, I expect them in a year or two. I expect them to contend for championships
mm,
because right now Toyota has done a really great job in that space.
mm.
GR
And
racing.
what I think that Le Mans is going to get more viewership for sure because we all know the battles between Porsche and Audi at Le Mans. Like Audi is the only manufacturer which I think that has actually the guts to go up to Porsche and say I'm going to beat you. The only manufacturer.
Yeah, and them both being Germans, we know the fight is gonna be good.
Germans versus Germans is the best thing ever.
Yeah,
Now, recently, Cadillac launched the CT4V and the CT5V Blackwing, supercharged four-door sedans, six-speed manual gearboxes as standard. What are your opinions on them?
I didn't read a lot about them,
Hmm.
but I had a ton of messages coming in. Okay, have you checked this out? This thing came in. I had my exams and things going on, so
Hmm.
I didn't check out the Blackwing or something. It is called Blackwing, if
Yeah,
I'm
the
not wrong.
CT4V Blackwing and the CT5V Blackwing.
CT4V Blackwing.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Uh, you
but
know,
I think for the American market and the prices that they are coming in with,
hmm.
it seems like a bang for a buck product with the power and the thing. But I don't expect a lot out of fit and finish in the product. It is
Hmm.
not going to be able to compete with the Germans, but we have to
Hmm.
take note that Germans are more expensive than those.
Hmm.
So yeah, they'll do quite good in their market, and we don't see them coming into ours.
Hmm.
As long as they are not stepping into our market, okay.
Germans find that perfect balance between finishing quality and the power of the car, and Americans are like more
Exactly.
power, more power, more power.
More power. Like put it, I like the Dodge mentality wherein you feel a lack of power, just get the Hellcat engine and put it into any of your vehicles.
Hmm. And they
That is
feel
what they
like even not the lack
follow.
of power, if they feel that okay, so we have to make the next generation of this car, what we are going to do, what is the first thing? Add a bigger engine. Add a bigger engine, that's all
Exactly.
they do. They made the
They
demon.
have the biggest engine in the
Hmm.
industry right now, the 8.0.
Hmm. They made the Dodge Demon. Hennessy came and they were like, we are going to improve it. They did what? Add 200 horsepower more. They came up with the Ram TRX. Hennessy did what? Add 300 horsepower more.
At 300 horsepower. Like they are making crazy amount of horsepower from that engine. But the amount of they don't spend much time on fine tuning their products, and that is what
Mm,
I hate about them.
mm,
If they spend decent amount of time on fine tuning their product, they can really do well in other markets, but they just stick to their market and go with their strategy, and it works out well for them in the end.
mm,
But if they go up and do some things better, they can get into other markets with a great product.
mm. And I guess like they need to focus a bit less on power and more on fit and finishing of the product, because their engines are so
Yes,
powerful that the parts start to vibrate, the car start to vibrate.
vibrate, exactly.
Yeah, the car is not able to handle that much of power, and they're like, just give it more power, just give it more power. So
Just truck it and put a bigger engine into it.
yeah,
That is what their strategy is.
the car is drivable for about 5 to 10 years, and then after that the car just falls apart. And if you look at the Germans, you can drive
Exactly.
it for 20 years and still the badge won't fade away. That's the
Exactly.
quality you
That's the
get.
thing. That's the thing. And when you sit inside, let's just say an E63 AMG, an M5 competition, you can really daily drive those things around. You have an extreme amount of comfort. You have quality materials inside. You see aluminum here and there. You see carbon trims, if you optional carbon trims. It is a really well built product. Instead, when you get inside of one of Cadillac or a Dodge vehicle, you don't see any soft touch things. You see hard plastic somewhere.
Hmm.
All that matters to them is power that they extract from the engine. And I think they should part ways with that mentality and start doing better as for a buyer in that segment.
Hmm. But Americans have the best thing of like making proper driver's car. They always like
Agreed.
ensure that the car has to have a manual. They always ensure it. Even the Cadillacs have them. 668 horsepower and the 492 horsepower
With
one.
a six speed
Both have
manual.
manual as standards.
That's a great thing about them. They have that driver focused mindset, but now that the drivers have evolved and we have new generation of drivers coming in, they
Mm,
expect more things out of the product that they are getting into. They expect luxury, they expect presence, they expect power. They
mm,
have power, but they don't tick all the boxes.
mm,
That's the thing.
mm. And like if I were in the market looking for a four-door sedan, I would rather go for the newly launched BMW M5 CS than go for the Cadillac CT-SV, just because of that fit and finishing. I did a poll on my Instagram as well today, and most of the people went for the M5 CS, and I was like, well, that's pretty evident.
Exactly. We still don't have M5 LCI. It's gonna make its way soon to our country, and I expect it to sell in a fair share of sales. That would bag in a fair share of sales because it doesn't really have any refreshed competition. We don't see
Mm,
new AMG 63 or anything like that.
mm. But Germans are like shining in India in terms of selling performance cars. That's the
True,
thing I noticed.
they are bagging some numbers that you wouldn't expect out of them.
Mm,
They are doing fair share. Even the M2 sold nicely in our market.
mm. They
We
price their
also
cars very
saw,
well.
yeah, they price them very well. They could price them better. I'm not
Mm,
saying they do an absolute amazing job,
mm,
but yeah, we have people who can cash in for those kind of products.
Yeah.
So
At the end of the day, the people who can buy it, they don't actually care about it.
they are getting it
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. We are the ones who are like, man, please lower the price. Please make it from 2 crores to 1 crores. The BMW M5
That's
competition is one of the best um, super sedans in the Indian market. Like for just about 1.8 crores, you are getting a four-door sedan with 630 horsepower. I don't think any other car comes close to it.
which you can drive around with family. It has a decent boot space and it can do track days. It has a good engine which produces noise. It ticks many boxes. It has the level of luxury that you'd expect
Mm.
out of them.
It has looks. It has burnouts.
Yeah,
Burnouts all day long.
it
It can do
has
burnouts all day long.
and that amazing X drive technology.
Mm. And it has that luxury comfort. It's basically a car that is like it can do all the jobs of which one can desire.
Exactly. You can just go in, like now if I'm single, even if a single guy would get that, and a married guy would leave for that.
Hmm.
He'd be like, I can't get a supercar, so let's just get a supercar in disguise.
Hmm. The M5 did a great job in selling in India. The AMG GT63S is, like starting to gain some potential in India. An AMG GT63 S recently got delivered to Delhi, and it's like a muscle car.
Yeah,
It's
a
like a
white
muscle
one.
car with it's a four-door sedan as well. What to say, man?
That is, I'd say a sweet spot for many buyers. I've
Mm.
seen the GT63S in person in I don't know what the shade is called, the dynamic blue, something something,
Even I
but
saw it in the
it's
same shade at the
really
Auto
big name.
Expo.
It Yes, I was at the Mercedes stand at Auto Expo, and they allowed me to check out the vehicle, and that was a really really great moment for me too,
Mm.
because it is a really well built product overall. The power that they have extracted from it, the numbers does it gives great amount of numbers like 343 or something kmph as its top speed.
And for a
What
four-door
more would you
sedan.
expect out of a four-door sedan?
Hmm.
Exactly.
And I was like, well, what would happen if the same engine is put in the AMG GTR with a 630 horsepower or whatever
Have
it has?
AMG GTS and GTR. I don't know. I'm more of an SLS AMG kind of guy.
Hmm. But the AMG GTR has been priced so well in India, like it's one of the best supercars you can buy in India. For just about 3 or 3.5 crores, you can get an AMG GTR with a roll cage. I expect one for
Uh,
myself. I got one for 3.2 crores with a roll cage, green calipers, carbon fiber package, everything. Customization options.
it's really priced well for our market, and we have the new AMG GTR Pro coming in. We have one or two in order.
An
In
AMG
Mumbai, I
GT
guess
Black Series
Mumbai
is
is
coming in
getting
India as well.
one AMG.
One of the
Let's hope we get to see it.
Yeah, one of the folks who ordered the limited edition SVJ 63 ordered an AMG GT Black Series as well. Though I
Yeah,
wish
he's a
to see the
great guy
765 LT.
from Bangalore. 765 LT would make its way to India because McLaren is ready to set up its shop in Mumbai or somewhere around there.
Hmm.
And McLaren also wants a fair share of Indian market now. So
Hmm.
they are going to set up a shop soon. But let's
Because
see if
McLarens
our buyer market
have started to gain
goes
some popularity in
from
India.
moves away from me. Yes, exactly. We saw many McLarens
Hmm.
570Ss, 720S, two 720S
Hmm.
come into a market via
Hmm.
Carnet and imports.
We have
So
a
they have
12C
been
in
going
India as
around
well
our
in the
group.
Geo Garage, and it has a peacock
It rarely
camouflage.
comes out. We have
It
never
it
seen
ha-
it
it has a peacock
out.
wrap over it. National car of
But
India.
gee, uh, I would see that car and go like, oh cop, James May style.
Hmm. But if I saw the entry of the McLarens, like the cars that they thought of bringing at what prices, and the prices seem to be too much. They are going to price the
They are
720S
absurd.
and the 765LT at about 8.68 crores. And I'm like,
Eight
dude,
points. Yeah,
yeah. And I'm like, dude, that's even more expensive than the Ferrari SF90 Stradale.
812.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that is the
I don't see
most
how
expensive
they are
Ferrari on
going to
sale.
sell those.
Yeah. At that
Yeah,
prices,
I
it
don't
won't
see how
sell.
they are going to sell at that price. No, no, they won't, because we have. Uh, Recently, I was discussing this with a person at Aston Martin, and we discussed that why is Aston not selling well in our country? That's because buyers are not parting ways with the mindset of showing off or stepping out of a Lamborghini or Ferrari for that
Hmm.
matter. Because the brand names have got traction in our market. They represent a certain status.
Hmm.
And I don't see people parting ways from those brands when McLaren come in. And at these prices, I don't expect any. Uh, knowledgeable buyer to go out and buy those.
Yeah, unless the buyer is a McLaren fanboy or something like that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they are not known for staying. They are not known for their reliability.
Hmm.
Whereas with the Italians, though they have their bits, but we have those services in India where, and people are not driving around in them complaining about them.
Hmm.
If McLaren can do a good job, price them well, and not bring the reliability issues to our
Hmm.
country, they can sell some of them.
Because the first thought I had when I saw the McLaren prices, I was like, they are not pricing it well, and thus they won't be able to like this set up a good brand image in India. Because if
Exactly.
they are stepping
If
into the
you
India,
need to be aggressive in our market.
yeah, and like I agree that the cars that they are selling, like the 720S and the 765 LT, are good cars, but they are not even that good that one would go on and pay 9 to 10 crores for a single car. It's not even that good.
Exactly. Exactly. So you can go out and get an Aventador S for a cheaper price. You can go around and get a Pista or a second-hand Lamborghini. The market is flooded with second-hand Lamborghinis. Why would you go get one of those when you can have a great, a good, if not better, image than a stepping out of a McLaren?
Hmm. And it's not just the image. You get those, like the Lamborghini Caesar doors, and then comes
I'm
that,
sorry. Yes.
yeah, and then that
Sorry, you are not audible
magnificent,
here.
and then that magnificent V12 engine. So like you get some
Exactly.
things that are just better than the McLaren. I would any day go for a V12 naturally aspirated Italian V12 over a twin turbo V8. It's pretty obvious.
Because anyways, you're not going to shell out the power on our roads. So if you want to go look pretty, that's the thing you go with an Italian.
Yeah, a
You
pretty
don't wait
sensible
around for
choice.
McLaren to set up their shop.
Hmm. I think like they should first bringing some cars like the 570s and the 600LT maybe, price them around the Huracan, and then see like how they perform. These are their base
If
cars.
they manage to bring in, even if they manage to bring in 540C at a cheaper price
Hmm.
than Huracan, I think that thing would sell great. And if they pitch it against 911 in any sense, it's gonna sell really well. But they need to be aggressive in our market. They can't just go around how they go around usually.
Hmm.
They can't bring their British pride with them into our market.
Hmm. In all of these supercars, I guess the Nissan GTR has just lost.
Nissan GTR, the thing is, now that it's being produced on orders, we don't. Last I saw a Nissan GTR come into our market was a few months back, but that thing was to 2017 registered. Now, if you
Hmm.
want to get a supercar, that is a big risk. Getting a vehicle that's been registered back there.
Hmm.
So we have some people who are gonna shell out money on GTRs, but they already have one of those.
Hmm.
And unless Nissan doesn't go around build a new GTR and bring it to India, price it well,
Hmm.
people will hold on to their GTR.
What I think is that Nissan has, like the GTR is basically obsolete now. Like it's been in the market for like 11 years now, and all it has got is upgrade from power. It has got from 480 horsepower to what 565 horsepower in India in 11 years.
Yeah,
In 11 years, that's all you
but
get.
that's the thing. Yeah, Nissan needs to sit down. They are bringing in the new Z. I don't know if it will make its way to India, but they need to sit down, analyze their strategies, and bring in the new GTR as people expect out of them. They can't just sit around prolonging the buyers because anyone would shift. If you had the money in your pocket, you wouldn't wait around for a new GTR to make its way to your country.
Yeah, we
You'd go
desperately
around,
need
you
an
have other
R36
options.
GTR. An
Yeah,
R36
we
GTR.
really need that soon. They need to do it really soon if they want to capture that market share.
Because like for some time it was good. Like they have that brand image, they have that cult following of GTR from the R31. But there is a limit to everything, and like the people were like, okay, Godzilla, okay, Godzilla. There was a point when people were like fed of Godzilla, and they was like, give the Godzilla an upgrade. It's been in the market for 11 years. Godzilla
Exactly.
has become obsolete. Now give it
Now
a damn update.
think about it from a bias perspective. I have a old let's just say I have an old GTR that's been in my garage for 6 to 7 years. Now I'm looking for an upgrade from a GTR to another GTR, but I don't have a GTR in the market.
Mhm.
So I am gonna get rid of the older GTR and get into something new,
Mhm.
and that is where Nissan is gonna lose some of its cult buyers.
Mhm. And moreover, you don't get that customization option. If you go to Mercedes AMG's website India right now, you would see more colors than the number of GTRs in India. More color options.
Agreed. Agreed.
Yeah, I went to Nissan India website, and I saw was two or three color options. That's all I saw. I was like, no options for like the seat belts, the carbon fiber package, or something like that. These little things together make the buyer more interested in the car.
True. For the segment that they are getting into, the little details really matter to them. I've seen people quarrel about the interior bits, like can we get this in carbon fiber? Can we get this in that? So people really nitpick when they are getting into that segment. Even I would, if I had the money, I would go in and spec it the way I want it to be, not as company wants me to get it. You need some personalization options at decent prices, wherein I can get in and make myself feel at home inside a vehicle that I love.
Yeah, and when you go out in the market and are spending 2.5 crores, that's not a small amount in any way. So, like you want a
Yeah,
car
that is
that
not.
is worth 2.5 crores, that gives you the attention, the power, the styling, the comfort, the interior, the luxury worth 2.5 crores. That's what you're looking for. And Nissan managed to fail with the GTR.
Nissan GTR is, I would say, on a similar graph where Acura NSX was
Mm,
in other markets. They had a good product, but they didn't price it well from the beginning,
mm,
and it failed eventually. It failed to capture the market because of its interior, not giving that luxury feel, not giving the buyer a full sense of uh, the money he's not getting what the money he's spending. And in other markets, I think the Honda NSX was priced higher than a McLaren 570S,
mm,
and it really doesn't make sense to shell out
mm,
that kind of money and go around get a hybrid V6 rather than a twin turbo V8.
mm. Like it is one of these other things regarding Japanese supercars, which I think is that they provide you with a good, reliable engine. The exhaust note is good. The styling is
Which is
good.
customizable.
Hmm. The
The engine is
exhaust is
highly
good,
customizable.
and like you get some good styling. But the thing that is not good is the interior parts and the material they use on their cars. They are so cheap, even if you go into their supercar range.
True. They if they want to step up their game, they really need to bring in better interiors. They really need to study the market.
Mm,
I expect at least big brands like Nissan and Honda who have big shares in other markets.
mm,
I won't say about Nissan, but Honda really had big shares in the market. Honda really knows what a customer expects out of them. And when you go out build a supercar, you want to give people what they expect rather than bringing in something like a plastic bits into interior which they are not gonna like.
yeah, because like when some of the reviewers reviewed the Acura NSX, they were like, that is all there is, hard plastic, which you get on cars like the Honda
That is
Brio
all.
and all.
That is all they hated. That is all they hated.
Mm,
They loved. I personally loved the styling of Acura NSX or Honda NSX.
mm,
I love the styling. The engine is great. The modes of driving allotted are good. The
mm,
power delivery is linear. Good gearbox. And what wasn't good and what everyone pointed out was the interior quality,
Hmm.
and that is something a buyer of that segment wouldn't just let go.
Hmm. Basically, both Acura and Nissan need to upgrade their Halo supercars, the Acura NSX and the GTR, and then like bring in with an all new start, and then let's see who wins the market.
Yeah, let's see what they do. I really don't expect much of Nissan at this moment
Hmm.
because they're not doing well in our country.
Hmm.
Magnite is their last.
Hope.
They're hanging by a Magnite right now.
Hmm.
Yeah. So let's just see if it works out for them and they are still in our country. I would expect them to bring in a GTR soon.
Hmm. Nissan is not doing well on the global scale as well. Hmm.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and they have been like repeatedly criticized for like not upgrading their cars, even if even their trucks in the American market are like 11 or 12 years old and they haven't received an upgrade. So Nissan is pretty slow with giving in updates in their cars. That's
Nissan
the
is
thing
very
that is
slow.
ruining their
Even
brand
in the
image.
US market, even in the US market, we saw them shelling out Nissan Sentras and
Mm,
those kind of products coming in with updates way later than people expected them to come out with.
mm,
So if you want to stay in the market, pick up the pace. That is what I feel these brands should do.
mm. By the way, if you have to go between the Nissan GTR and the Acura NSX, which one would you go with?
If they are priced similarly,
Similarly,
uh, I I would go with the Acura NSX.
same here.
I would go with the Acura NSX because there is a limit to the power that you can exploit in our roads. It
Mm,
has those supercar looks.
mm,
It has that low seating position. It has that hybrid technology,
mm,
and you can drive it on EV and everything.
mm,
So it is all around a modern product with a good design.
mm,
It I would just ignore the interior,
mm,
focus on my steering wheel
mm.
if I step
It's
into it.
it's basically a Porsche 918 on budget. That's what people used to say it. That's what I describe as
That is
it
what
as.
people used to say. Yeah, even I described it as that exact thing, and I expected that product to do really well, and
Mm,
now that it has been depreciated in the price and it's coming into a cheaper segment in other countries,
mm,
I see it making good sales in the second hand market.
mm. Now
But the
it
thing
might be a
is,
really
they
good
fail to
time.
market that product.
Yeah, now it might be a really
They
good
fail
time for
to market that
folks
product
to buy the Cure NSX if they want one, because the prices are
if
low
they want
and
one.
people just want to sell them. So you can get one for
Yeah.
like 50 or 60 thousand dollars.
90,000 euros was the last price I heard for them, and it is way cheaper than some of McLaren's, some Lamborghinis, and
Hmm.
it gives you that supercar look. And stepping out of an Acura NSX would make you feel rich,
Hmm.
considered rich.
And of course, it will smoke all the supercars at the red light, or maybe even able to keep up with
Yeah,
them, because it has that
true,
acceleration and top speed as well.
true. Yeah,
Ferrari since 2019 has been launching cars after cars. We saw the Roma, the 8112 GTS, then the SF90 Stradale, the F8 Tributo. So do you think Ferrari is going in the right direction, or they are launching just too much cars?
I think Ferrari is absolutely going in the right direction because we saw Aston pick up the pace recently when they brought in the new Vantage. They teased the new Vanquish. They're bringing in Valkyrie. They have
DBX.
DBS and yeah DBX too. So we see Ferrari making wanting to cater other segments of markets wherein people want to get a Ferrari badge at a cheaper price. They go with Roma. They want an open top experience. They go with Portofino and things like that. We would also see Pursange or Pure Sange or whatever they are going to call that SUV coming into the market, and
Hmm.
they also want a share of that SUV market because Urus is selling so well. Why wouldn't they want money into their pockets? Ferrari is doing good, I guess. Few years back I was not happy with what Ferrari was going with. I still hate that they are, not parting ways with the older gen interior with the F8 Tributo
Hmm.
and everything. But with the Roma and SF90, the things that they are doing is really commendable.
Hmm. For a moment when they made the 488 GTB and then the 812, I was like, man.
I was really disappointed when they brought in 488 GTB because that wouldn't make me sell my 458 and get into a 488 if I
Hmm.
had one.
Hmm. And the 8112 as well. I didn't feel like it was the perfect successor to the 81 to the F12.
It is one of the best production cars available in the market right now, but that wouldn't, make me sell my older V12
F12.
Ferrari and get
Hmm.
into a new one
Hmm.
or any other V12 for that matter.
Hmm. What
But it is very
yeah.
refined as from what I hear.
Hmm. What I noticed is then when Ferrari, broke their partnership with Pininfarina, they got a hit.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So what I think is that when Ferrari broke their partnership with Pininfarina, they got a hit. Pininfarina had made
Yeah,
the
in
yeah
design language, yes,
yeah they had made the
I really
458 and the
appreciated
F12 and the
the
F12
designs.
as well.
I really love how the F12 looks. I really, really love how the F12 TDF looks. But, I thought that after parting ways with Pininfarina, they did a good job with the F12 TDF. But when they stepped in with the 812, I was disappointed. Initial impressions, I was really, really disappointed with the design. I didn't really like the front end. It just didn't do the thing for me what 812 used to do or a 550 Maranello would do in that matter. But
Mm,
people started liking it because of its dynamics and how it felt on road,
mm,
and it is selling well. So who are we to say?
mm. But ultimately, it had a V12. So like I liked the 8112 in ways because it is one of the last V12 cars that we might see on the road before the V12 gets engine
Exactly.
yeah, it's gone. So I
Engine
was like, okay,
and
man.
the engine is really really great. That engine that they put into 812, and I'm really looking forward to what they are going to do with F12 TDF successor with the 812 GTO or whatever they are going to call it.
Or maybe a
But
12
that
TDF.
would be the last.
Who knows?
Maybe 812 TDF. Let's see. But I'm really looking forward to that product. But because F12 TDF was one of the greatest engineering marvels
It's
from
still
the brand,
it's still the
uh,
Ferrari that I
it
love the
still
most.
is. Yeah, F12 TDS is one of the Ferrari that I would love for the rest of my life.
Hmm. I like V8
So
Ferraris, but I love V12 Ferraris.
true, true. So true.
Hmm. So what I think
Sometime
that
back, I was a Lamborghini
hmm,
person, but I shifted to Ferrari while I started learning for about the brand. I got into the Lamborghini by V12s only
hmm,
for my because of my fascination for LP640 Mercedes,
understandable.
and then Aventador came in. Then Aventador came in, and they have been consistent delivering a good product, though
Hmm,
it has its own set of cons. But I really really love how they shell out a product and for the market that they're in.
hmm. So what I think that it was a transition phase for Ferrari. They made some good cars like the 458, the 458 Speciale, F12 and the F12 TDF. Then they went downhill. They made the 488 GTP, which was like so bland in design, and I didn't even like it. And then they made the 488 Pista, which I actually liked, which I was like, okay, this might like bring in
Exactly,
Ferrari some sales because it was one of the most aggressive
and it
Ferraris you
it,
can
it
find
did.
it, and it did.
488 Pista really brought in sales for Ferrari, and when the 488 Pista came in,
Hmm.
I was like, this is what should have been the 488 GTB in
GTP.
the first place.
Hmm.
But
And
that was not the case.
hmm. and then came the 8112. So I was like, okay, the F12's legacy has not been fulfilled successfully, but like the 8112 will do the business for Ferrari, will do the business part for Ferrari. It will
Ferrari, yeah,
sell because of that
exactly.
Ferrari batch. So
True.
after that, what I think was that, like, Ferrari started getting back on the track. They created the Roma. So ultimately, Ferrari had
True.
those beauty elements in their cars, like in the 458 and the F12. With the Roma, they bought in the beauty back. And
Exactly.
even the F8 Tributo, like, looks beautiful, but some of their the elements of the design are not good. Because Pininfarina is
Some of
Pininfarina,
the
man.
design elements, Pininfarina was Pininfarina too. And when they brought in F8, I made a dedicated post wherein I pointed out each and everything that I felt was from some other car.
Mm,
Like the headlamps. There is this part in headlamps where it feels like it's been derived from something like a 720S,
mm,
and with some interior bits, it still feels like you're in a 458 inside. And but overall, as a product, I think that should have been the 488 in the first place. Either
if
the Pista or the F8 should have
mm,
been the 488 GTB in the first place.
mm.
But with the
Even I think
Roma,
that
I
was.
can only see them going up.
Mm.
Initial
And
impressions on Roma were like, why are they working with Aston? Like, are they do they want to bring in an Aston Martin or some sort? But when the design really grew on me,
mm,
the front and the rear, it just
mm,
blends in so well with the sculptures
mm,
and the elongated bonnet.
mm.
That is, it does the job quite well.
And the best thing about the design of the Roma is that it's timeless. You can put it on an IC car and
Yes,
it
it
will
is
do the job.
timeless.
You can put it in an
Even
EV and it will do the job. You can put it on a
true,
rotary and it will do the job.
yeah.
Yeah,
It
that's the
is it
design.
is a beautiful design. I'm
Hmm.
really looking forward to seeing one in person. Hopefully soon. Let's see.
Hmm.
You
So
have one in Delhi recently that came in Delhi, Ferrari Delhi.
yeah, Ferrari
You should
Delhi.
go and check it out.
I will think, man. I will see. My exams are going on, so let's see. Yeah, and then they came up with the SF90 Stradale. And not going to lie, the SF90 Stradale is my favorite Ferrari currently because of the engineering marvels that it has managed to achieve. Like, it is a car with 986 horsepower. That's just one less horsepower than
It,
the Veyron. Veyron had
yeah,
987 horsepower bhp, and it has 986. So it is a car which has hypercar levels of performance at supercar price.
for a supercar level price, exactly. And the design is also radical, something you would not expect from Ferrari. They have put in some time to fine tune the product from the learnings that they have been getting
Mm,
from F1. I really
mm,
hope they didn't took learnings from 2020 F1 cars
mm,
of Ferrari, but the product overall seems to be good. And at 10 crores, that is the cheapest 1000 horsepower car I think you can get in
mm,
our country from factory.
mm. It's about 8.7 crores in Ferrari New Delhi when it came. And the first SF90 Stradale has been delivered in Asia, has been delivered to India in Chennai.
India and in Chennai, yes.
Yeah. And I felt so happy
But
that, well, we finally have a car that is like worth having hypercar levels of performance. Cause I at first I was always like, man, we don't have an hypercar in India. I wish to see one. But then came the
true.
SF90 Stradale.
Before the economic breakdown and the dip in economy, we saw Carrera GTs making their way into the showrooms of Porsche in India. We saw Koenigsegg ones bringing in Agira RS,
With
Agira
Christian von
R,
Koenigsegg
I guess.
himself.
Yeah, with Christian himself. So
Hmm.
those are the times. Even Bugatti brought in the Veyron, but I don't think our market is just ready or in state to get any of those.
No. Even I don't think they are in the state of getting some hypercars. But they came on Carnet, the cars
Exactly.
like the LaFerrari, the Aston Martin 177, and they
Senna.
went back. Yeah,
Yeah.
and they went back. Even the Countach came for the first time in India as well, the original Countach. But it was
Yeah.
sadly on, like, just for showful
Static
purposes.
display. Yeah.
Yeah, just for static display. There was an engine start, and I guess that was all. It didn't even drive.
No, it didn't.
Mm. like if you had to go between one car from the 765 LT and the AMG GT Black Series, which one would you go with and why?
765 LT. 765
Same.
LT is overall a well-built product. You know
Hmm.
how much I hate McLaren for their reliabilities, but the engineering feats that they achieve in a vehicle, shedding out around 80 to 100 kgs from a vehicle that was already the
Hmm.
lightest in its segment,
Hmm.
720S, was
Hmm.
really a tough job for them.
Hmm.
Studying engineering, I know that how hard it is for them. It's not like इसको निकाल के चलो कार्बन फाइबर लगा
Hmm.
दिया. It is like
Yeah.
it's not like that. You need
Hmm.
to think think it through. You need to analyze all the forces that are being put onto the vehicle,
Hmm.
and it's not that simple to just shed out some weight of a vehicle, put in an engine that produces more power.
Hmm.
They had to go back to the drawing board of
Hmm.
720S, and
Hmm.
uh, they redid the whole aero part. And initially I was not happy with the quadruple exhaust setup,
Hmm.
but now I feel like it blends in with the aggressive character
Hmm.
of the 765. And from a person who really loves the 675 LT, I
Hmm.
think 765 LT would do great.
Hmm. And like often as we as like reviewers and enthusiasts criticize those elements that why the quad exhaust, but really the engineers know the reason behind like those things.
Your voice just broke.
Yeah, yeah. So I was saying that like as enthusiasts we criticize manufacturers for like like McLaren putting those quad exhaust and all, but the engineers of the original car know exactly what went into it and like
What
what
they
it
are
took to make
doing.
that car.
True,
And the
true, so true.
yeah, and the AMG GT Black Series, moreover, it sounds like a diesel truck or a vacuum cleaner, man. I didn't even like the exhaust of it. And like that was the
AMG
moment I was like
GT Black Series, I feel
765T.
it is not built for, it doesn't take the legacy of what SLS Black Series brought
Hmm.
in, and it is not a real deserving Black Series product. It
Hmm.
is just meant for the track. They should have made it a limited track edition product and went ahead and made it more radical.
Hmm.
But I don't really like the platform, the design, and what they have done with the car. It feels like AMG GTS has somehow been in an intercourse with GT2 RS or something, and this is the product.
Hmm. Now the final question. What's the future of high performance cars according to you? Where will the hypercar and the supercar world be 10 years from now?
10 years from now, it will be completely electric, as we all know about it.
Hmm.
But in the recent developments, I am looking forward for the Aventador replacement that is going to make its way in a year or two,
Hmm.
and the last of V12s, the 812 GTO, and the V12 products that we have, because those
Hmm.
are the last engines that we'd be able to cherish.
Hmm.
The V8s are going to stay into our market, being electrified. V6 are going to be
Hmm.
things that replace V8s
Hmm.
moving forward. Because even Ferrari is trying to bring in twin turbo V6s with electric motors at the rear,
Hmm.
and we also have McLaren Artura, or
Hmm. Yeah.
whatever they are going to call it, with that same thing. So that's the thing. Last, slice of the holy grail, and after that, everything is gonna go EV, and things like that.
Yeah, man. I don't like that EV era, but I will try to like gather up some engines as at least. So like I can grab
So
some
true.
electric cars later and swap them later.
Swap him,
That's what
yeah.
I plan to do. And let's swap him.
Get a Tesla or something and put in a big ass V8 into it.
Hmm.
Make a hot rod out of a Tesla. Let's see.
Hmm. Hmm. And then like wave the environmentalists.
Yeah. I would get a if I was living somewhere outside of our country, I would get a number plate saying "Hello Greta" or something like that.
Mm,
If I go around and swap a Tesla with a V8.
mhm. So, man, do you have any parting words for the audience?
Drive safe, and to the people who really like supercars and have been around them, don't worry, you're gonna find your way
Mm,
into one really soon, and the car would find its way into your garage because
mm,
depreciation, okay, it's gonna work in
uh,
your favor. So keep your head down, keep working.
mm,
The cars are gonna come and go, but hold on to the things that you're gonna like specific cars. Not everything in our market is worth your time. So look around for what you like, be specific for what you want, be a smart buyer, choose well.
mm, mm.
That is all I'm gonna say.
Great message, man. So, bye. That will be a wrap for this time. Thank you for being on the podcast. It was great
Yeah,
to have you.
it was my honor to be here.
Thank you, man. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye. Cheers.